Hi, this is John, and welcome back to Alpha Awakened. This is Module 9 of the program. This module is called Winner Makes All, Scarcity or Abundance. So, let's start with a quote. Doing what you love is the cornerstone of having abundance in your life. Wayne Dyer. There are two states of being, scarcity and that of abundance. And you'll see why we're only talking about these two later, because where one lives, the other cannot. So you're either here or you're there. So let's define scarcity to begin. Scarcity, inefficiency or shortness of supply, dearth. And interestingly, if you look it up on Wikipedia, the definition is, scarcity is the fundamental economic problem of having seemingly unlimited human wants in a world of limited resources. So they define scarcity as an economic problem, which means it's a problem for those who measure the world of resources. And in their definition, they believe that there is not enough because there are unlimited human wants. Those darn humans. Have you ever been on the receiving end of this belief? I'm sure you have. It's so pervasive, it is everywhere. You'll see it in all of the systems and structures, and they are all fortified for limited resources. Just look at the power dynamics of the world. Just look at power dynamics of winner versus loser, domination versus submission, the control aspects of fear and abuse. Observe that on the more personal level, there are belief systems around limited resources, like, I won't get my fair share, and it's not enough, and I want more, and the only way that I can have it, these kind of phrases that are so common in language. And then there's the fear of death. Oh my God, if I can't have this, I will die. On and on. Politics, you hear it. There's not enough food, there's not enough water, there's not enough money, there's not enough women. Right? There's not enough men, there's not enough sex. Can you relate to any of those? All of this thinking comes from what's known as the zero sum. It's a zero-sum game. Zero sum, think about it like a pie, and you need to slice up the pie. So all we have is the pie, and we need to slice everything up to put it into its little parts and hand it out. And if you're extremely hungry, you certainly don't want anyone else to have part of that pie. That's the belief system. Notice in that belief system that there is competition built into it. Competition is a requirement of that system, a requirement to survive in that system. So let's jump in with an exercise here. Where in your life do you feel or believe that there is scarcity and that it affects you? So take 5 minutes here and list 3 places where you perceive scarcity. And for each of those places, describe how that perception affects you physically, emotionally, and mentally. Take 5 minutes, pause the video, and restart it when you're done. Good. So what I want you to observe is that scarcities come from belief systems, as we showed earlier in this program. And because they are created from beliefs, within even a few minutes, we can prove that they are not necessarily true. For example, there are a lot of conversations in the world right now about there not being enough water. But if you really just examine this for a moment, you'll also know that the Earth is a planet floating in space. And it's a closed system. And there's always the same amount of water on this planet because it's a closed system. The force of gravity from the mass of our planet keeps our atmosphere near the planet. And as water is heavier than air, as you can tell by looking at the ocean or just seeing your glass of water, water is pulled down onto the Earth. So all of the water on the Earth is on the Earth right now. It has always been on the Earth and always will be on the Earth. So it's not a question of there not being enough water. It's a question of understanding where it is, how it's distributed, what your access is to it, and how you relate to what is available. So now let's do an exercise to really examine the systems of belief that you have in place for the areas that you said were in scarcity. So just like there is a belief that there's not enough water, we just showed that, and we then showed how that belief is not true, you have a belief around these areas that you wrote of scarcity. And they're probably framed in the fact that because you don't have it with you right now, there must not be enough of it. And we, just like the example of water on the planet, we will also show those not to be true. So answer this next question. What are you believing is true so that you have that feeling of scarcity in those areas? So take 5 minutes and write down at least 2 to 3 beliefs that you have for each one of those scarcities that you listed. Pause the video and restart it when you're done. Okay, good. Now let's add a layer to what we're seeing here, okay? Take 5 minutes for this next part. You're going to describe your behaviors when you believe the beliefs you just identified. How do you act? How do you feel? And what is it that you say? Pause the video and restart it when you're done. Do you notice that your behaviors have competition built into them at some level? If you really started opening up your beliefs there, it'll be so obvious. And this is really good to see. So now let's talk about abundance. Remember, we have scarcity and abundance? The definition of abundance is an ample quantity, or another way of saying it is enough. So think about some of the things that are abundant. Water, like we said before. Sunlight from the sun. Air. Have you ever worried about breathing? No. How about your awareness? How about your body? Have you ever worried about it being here? Isn't one body enough? Interesting, right? So let's zoom out. Let's go out really far. The universe, all of it, as far as we can tell, is veritably infinite in every aspect. And while infinite, it operates in very discrete ways, some of which we've covered in this program. The universe is in constant creation and destruction, creating new galaxies and star systems all the time, and some galaxies are eating other galaxies. It's incredible. And in the process, here we have a cycle of death and birth, things coming from where there was nothing and nothing going to where there was something. There are fundamental laws in this universe, like the law of gravity, the law of the weak and strong attraction, which govern particle interactions. And there are all of these behaviors that when you go towards something that appears solid, you actually wind up finding that there's an incredible amount of space between them. So things are not what they appear. The point to all of this is it's all based on your perspective and your frame of reference. And from where you can operate, you can either discern the abundance and the infinite, or you can perceive it to be scarce. The same thing that seems solid from our perspective, when one examines it very, very closely, is empty and full of space. So observe that the frame of abundance is one of creation. So it's all based on your perspective and the frame of reference, and from where you operate, that you can either discern the abundant and the infinite, or you will perceive it to be scarce. So let's take an example of a few areas of your life where we can prove the immediacy of the abundance. How about your ability to create new ideas, insights, music perhaps, business ideas, songs, jokes, excuses, complaints, sensations that your body has, experiences, possibilities? Is there an endless and infinite variety of all of these other things that you can generate and create? And they're all abundant. So now let's do an exercise. Take 5 minutes to answer where there is abundance in your life. List as many things as you can in 5 minutes. I gave you a nice list of things there. Use that list to begin. Pause the video and restart the video when you're done. Okay, great. It's really quite a list. It's amazing how many things that we can generate and create. And now what I want you to see is the abundance of sensations, emotions, and thoughts that are you. So in fact, your very being, by definition, is abundant. So here's where the gold is. Notice that abundance occurs anywhere where there is creation. Abundance comes from creation. An awakened alpha lives in the continuous act of creation. They know that they are an instrument of creation. If they want a relationship, they create it. If they want money, they create something to exchange for it. If they want to travel, they create the opportunity to do so. They create and create and create, and wherever they create, there is abundance by default. That's the way the universe works. The awakened alpha creates a life of abundance by living a life of creation. This is why all of the alphas that you know own businesses or are artists or are creators in some way. They understand that the scarcity mindset is about competition and abundance is about creation. So they master the game of creation. Wherever you find yourself in a scarcity mindset, stop. Identify the belief that's occurring and shift by asking this question: what can I create here? And watch the scarcity disappear. So this week's life play is actually your life's life play. You are to become a creator. Every time that you feel scarcity, know that all that it is the belief that you must be competing for something. Create, create, create. You can do it. It is your right. It is your gift. It's your ability. And as we've already shown, it is your being. As an awakened alpha, watch the scarcity in your life disappear like a shadow from the sun. Have a great week. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you in the next module.